What's up, guys? Lore here, and on tap for today we have Smite. This is a free-to-play, third-person, over-the-shoulder MOBA being made by hi-rez Studios, the same guys who made Tribes Ascend and also Global Agenda. So, really interesusing sort of take on the whole genre, the sort of over-the-shoulder, almost shooter-esque gameplay. It's in closed beta right now. It's not a very closed beta. It's invite only, but it's actually not terribly hard to get a hold of a key. There's lots of different ways to get a hold of one, and in fact, I'll be giving away 5 beta keys to Smite as a part of this video, so keep an eye out towards the end of the video. I'll give you more details on that a little bit later. You can also get access to it by pre-ordering, basically just making a purchase, buying gems, which is their premium currency. Pretty much gives you instant beta access as well, so lots of ways to actually get into the beta if it's something that you are interested in. But let's talk about the game a little bit more. So the setting here, I think it's kind of interesting to mention that it's actually based on several different sort of ancient religions. So, like, for example, here I'm playing as Artemis, which is the Greek goddess of the hunt. And I'm a ranged DPS, basically the game's equivalent of a ranged AD from a game like League of Legends, or a ranged Agi character from Dota or Heroes of Newerth. Do a lot of auto attack damage, but the other interesting thing is that almost everything in this game is a skill shot. So even my auto attacks, you can see like that blue arrow going out in front of me, and you'll see a little bit more here in just a moment as well. I have to actually aim my auto attacks. I aim and left click. You can see they're throwing a few auto attacks around in front of me there too. Everything like that is a skill shot, and as I use my abilities, you'll see a little bit more of that come up a little bit later. It's interesting, the meta game here is extremely aggressive. It's kind of interesting how different the sort of all the different changes in the over-the-shoulder perspective actually changes quite a few things about how the game actually ends up playing compared to other MOBAs. So you'll notice I'm auto-attacking like crazy. That's partially because I want to keep them from pushing my lane because they're also pushing, and in fact I'm the only one in my lane. I'm doing a 1 versus 2 lane because we have a jungler. So if you check on the mini-map behind me there, you can see that there's actually we have a Bakasura who's running around in the jungle clearing out some camps right now. So I'm actually just auto-attacking like crazy. There's 2 reasons for that. Like I said, I don't want them to push. But also the interesting thing is, even if I don't get the last hit, I still get gold. It's not as much gold as if I were to get the last hit, but it's not such a significant difference that it's actually bad for me to be auto-attacking. In fact, it's actually important for me to be auto-attacking because towers are actually pretty easy to push down once creeps get to them, especially as you start getting towards the level 5, level 6, so still relatively early on. But once you've got a few levels in you, it actually starts to get really easy to push down the towers. So we're gonna have a little bit of a fight here. They wandered over into the jungle and bumped into our Bakasura. I'm gonna throw out. For a second there, you could see I threw out a skill shot, sort of a rain of arrows that also slows people down. But then I started taking a bunch of damage, so I'm gonna pop a potion and try to run away. But when I turn around, our Bakasura is actually still in there fighting them, and he's actually managed to get a kill, so I'm going to turn around and help him kill this Ra also. There you can see again, I threw out my skill shot. There was a little circle on the ground that helps me target it, but it's still very much a skill shot that I have to actually aim in person. So really interesting how they've sort of tried to add that element of aim into the actual gameplay, and it works out pretty well for the most part. A lot of the other champions, Artemis is kind of again, she's basically the equivalent of a ranged AD, so I do a lot more auto-attacking. You can see I'm just firing my bow right now. There's another good example of using my skill shot to try and clear out some of these creeps. But there's a lot of other more mage-style characters that do almost exclusively spells, and you'll see lots and lots of skill shots when they're actually using those. So it's really interesting how well it actually ends up working out in practice. Kind of cool. And like I was saying earlier, this is a very aggressive meta. So you saw how I was pushing up to the tower there. I actually am just going to try and kill that as soon as I possibly can. At the very least, I'm going to be trying to push up as quickly as I can. There's a few reasons for that. One is that it's just kind of safer that way. I really don't want to allow them to come in. Oh, here we go. Bakasura is jumping again, and he's going to get a kill. I've actually got my ultimate ability. I'm going to try and use it here and get a stun on Ra. Managed to land that and we're going to be able to finish him off, and I'm going to pick up the kill there also. So we're actually doing really well in this lane so far early on. Really nice, really nice. I had like several games before this where someone else on my team went like 0-20, so it was nice to actually get a good game in to be able to use here for on tap. So, what was I talking about? Ah yes, the metagame. You can see we're actually going to kill this tower right now. Two reasons for that. One is that... Oh dear, Bakasura's actually just died. One is that it's actually kind of a defensive move because it's so easy to push in this game. So it really just doesn't take very long to get from one tower to another. That actually makes it safe for me to now go back and spend my gold. If I was not pushing up, my tower would start taking damage almost immediately. So this is going to let me go back there. I'm going to finish off my boots, and I will buy... I think I'm going to buy an ability here. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the items in just a minute. The other thing about the very aggressive pushing focused meta that we see is it's actually very easy to move between lanes. It's not a very long distance, very long amount of time to get from one lane to another. So ganking between lanes it's a lot more common. You'll see a lot of times. In fact, I think I'm actually going to head over and try to help out our mid here. A lot of times it really only takes like maybe 5 seconds to get from one lane to another, maybe a little bit longer than that depending on the champion, but you'll have somebody go missing, and by the time somebody even can realize that the other guy on their team is missing, or that the guy that they're laning with is missing, he's already in another lane getting a kill. So that makes it a lot of fun to me. There's a whole lot of aggressive action. It's not so much about farming as it is just killing the other team and killing their towers and stuff. That seems pretty interesting to me from a MOBA perspective. It's nice to have a game where and have a MOBA like this where really if you're spending all of your time trying to kill the other team, you're mostly doing it right. There's still times when you want to farm, obviously, and farming is still important, but not nearly as much as it is in other games where you're actively avoiding conflict for a long period of time early on just because you want to have extra time to actually farm before you start fighting people. So that's very interesting. Talking about the items real quick just for a second. I think we're going to try and get a kill on him there, but not quite able to. Talking about the items, the way they have the item shop and generally just the way spending your gold in general works in Smite is quite a bit different. You do still have regular items. All of the items are basically just stats. There's no like active use items or anything like that. You just get like right now I believe I just have my boots. I have level 2 of my boots and level 1 of Devourer's gloves. Those are pretty much just stats. The thing is, as you get higher and higher levels of them, instead of like in other games where you would combine different items, it's literally just saying, okay, well, this is the item that you're working on because this is the item that you're eventually going to want. And you buy a level 1 version of it, and then a level 2 version of it, and then a level 3 version of it. You just sort of upgrade that particular item, which is interesting. It takes a whole lot of the complexity out of the item system, which is both good and bad, I think. It's just kind of different. It's a lot easier to wrap your head around at a very early basis, and there's a lot less that the different items that go into your... Okay, so for example, in a game like League of Legends, you might say, okay, well, I want to get a brutalizer on this character, but I'm not really going to want to build it into anything later. So maybe I don't actually want a brutalizer on this character. And I think that does add an interesting dynamic to other games, but at the same time it also can make things kind of complicated. And here we're going to come in here. I think we're going to get a kill on Ra here. Yep, he goes down. And then so did... I didn't actually see who the other champion there was. But got a couple quick kills, and then Bakasura died like right away because Zeus showed up. So that was unfortunate. I'm going to try and scare Zeus off a little bit. But Zeus can do quite a bit of damage. Yeah, he just chunked off half of my hit points. So I'm going to pop a potion and run away. So anyway, talking about the item shop some more. Like I was saying, you buy an item and you level it up. It does take a lot of the sort of theory crafting out of it a little bit. and I do kind of miss having that a little bit in the game. But at the same time, it makes it a lot more straightforward, and they do make up for it in other ways. So one of those is, in fact, the most important of those, is that you can actually just buy abilities. Those take the place of like your summoner spells, your actives on items like a Shirelia's Reverie or a Blink Dagger or something like that. You just straight up buy the abilities. So at this point in the game, I've actually purchased 2 abilities. I have Meditation, which gives me 75% of my mana back, which is awesome for being able to stay in the lane and just generally continue doing stuff out in the world. And I've also picked up Purification Beads, which is... it's actually almost like a PvP trinket from World of Warcraft or something. It clears all of the CC effects that are on me currently. It's just generally very, very handy to have, as especially as a more squishy champion like Artemis, since my job is to do damage, not so much be able to take damage. Just a really, really handy thing to have. So that's one thing that they do that kind of helps make up for the, I guess you could call it a less interesting item build setup. That's one thing that it does to help make up for that a little bit. The other thing they do is most items, once you hit level 3, actually become much, much stronger. So here at this point, I've got 1,500 gold saved up. I'm actually not quite able to finish off my Devourer's Gloves, unfortunately. I'm only able... oh, no, I was able. It looks like we killed a tower, so I was able to finish off my Devourer's Gloves there. So now that I've gotten to level 3 of Devourer's Gloves, they get a nice passive. In this case, they actually... they will just stack up as I get kills. And it's not like you lose them on death or anything. It's just as I get more kills, it's more like a Warmog's Armor sort of setup, where as I kill creatures or players, I start to get stacks, and it's going to give me more attack damage, more lifesteal. Generally just fun stats. And there's similar items for tanks and for casters as well. So that's another thing that they do that kind of makes the item builds a little bit interesting, is that most items you will probably want to get to level 3. I was trying to come in there to help kill that Zeus, but then Ra showed up, made that kind of a bad idea. Most items you will want to get to level 3 before moving on to the next, but not all of them. Like, for example, I only have level 2 of my boots right now. I haven't finished those yet because at the maximum level I just get a little bit more movement speed and a little bit more damage. Nothing too super important like getting the stacking effect on my Devourer's Gloves. So that's another thing that they do just to make the item build a little bit different. You get that awesome passive usually when your items hit maximum level. You can also purchase consumables. Like earlier on I was using healing potions. The weird thing about how they have consumables set up in this game is that you can only have one type of consumable on you at a time. So if you buy healing potions, you can have any number of healing potions. You can have as many of those as you can afford, but you can only have healing potions. You can't buy healing potions and mana potions, or mana potions and wards or something like that. So that's a little bit weird. I kind of hope they change that at some point, because it does end up being kind of frustrating and very, very limiting in terms of what builds you can use. But it's not a major deal either way. It's still something... Consumables just in general aren't really important in this game past the first like 10 levels or so. So I haven't missed them too much. Another thing you might notice is that my vision on the minimap is extremely limited. Like right now, you could see there, I can see Zeus, but he's not actually showing up. Now he's showing up on the minimap. He wasn't just a second ago until the creeps actually got very, very close to him. So there's no fog of war, as you've probably noticed. There's nothing like, well, I can look over there on my map, but I can't actually see anything. There's nothing like that. If something is in line of sight of me, I can see it. And if a creature of mine has vision on something nearby, I'm going to try and get a kill on Ra here. Pop out my ultimate, which is going to stun him, and I should be able to get that kill. Yep. And I'm going to turn around and try to get away from Zeus. He's doing a bunch of damage to me. Might actually be able to turn around and kill him, but no, he's going to run away. So anyway, yeah. A huge part of why I was able to get that kill is just because of the lack of vision, which makes being pushed out kind of scary in that regard. It's a very, very interesting dynamic that I'm still not completely sure how well it's going to work out in the long run. It may end up being that wards become more important. Right now, nobody's really using wards, which is partially because of the consumable thing I was talking about a second ago. You can't really, you can't get wards and healing potions, and so people usually prioritize the potions earlier on, and then later game, it tends to be group fights anyway, so they're not as worried about it. But it's still kind of interesting. I was able to come up behind, like here we have our Zeus is coming up behind Anhur, and he's able to start doing damage to him. And uh-oh, we got a Bastet chasing me, and I am screwed. I'm going to die. Looks like Zeus managed to die as well, so that's unfortunate. Pick up my first death of the game. That's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and finish off my boots. Not quite have enough to be able to purchase anything else. But anyway, yeah, vision is very, very limited. It makes communication extremely important. So you want to make sure you let your teammates know, like even more so than in a game like League of Legends or your Bakasura is going to try and get a kill. Oh, nice! He was actually able to jump through that and pick up the kill, and then get away from Ra. No, he's actually Emir is going to show up. He's going to jump in there and try to get a kill on Ra, and we're not going to ever find out what happens because I respawn. Looks like he got him. Hooray! But anyway, yeah, you have to be very, very vocal with your teammates in terms of discussing where people are. And one thing they've done to make that a lot easier is they've actually added in the VGS system, similar to what they have in Tribes, where you can very, very easily and quickly just hit a couple of keystrokes. Like VF1 means enemies are missing on the left, in the left lane. So I can really quickly pop out VF1 and let everybody know that, hey, people are missing. Very nice quick gank there between me and our Zeus on their Zeus. We're able to pick up that kill really easily. And you saw how I just kind of came out of nowhere on top of him. Like, he had no way of knowing that I was actually there because he didn't have the vision. And his teammates weren't either his teammates weren't communicating to him that I wasn't anywhere to be seen, or they just kind of or he just wasn't listening, one or the other. But yeah, it means that ganks are a lot easier to pull off. They happen a lot more often as a result, and that just kind of contributes back into that very, very aggressive play style where you spend a lot more time actually trying to get kills. Here we're going to have a nice big team fight. Anubis is going to pick up a kill real quick, and this Emir looks like he might get away. Yeah, he's going to get away, unfortunately. I don't know, my team's actually going to chase him down. They might be able to get a kill. I'm not quite that brave. I'm going to just sit back here and try and kill this tower while they go on and do a... Oh, they actually got him. Nice. Okay. So he's dead now. Oh, but then all of them died. So that's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, very, very, very aggressive game. You can see it's 16 minutes in. We've already killed 3 of their towers. Games do go much, much faster here too. They just tend to be a lot quicker. There's a couple reasons for that. One is just that they're so much more aggressive. One is that there's like a few mechanics that just lend towards it. Man, we are cleaning up over here. That is a pretty nasty team fight. I pick up a double kill. I'm gonna get away now though because I've taken a bunch of damage. I also have 2,300 gold, so it'd probably be a good idea to go and actually purchase some items at some point. But yeah, the games are over much, much quicker, largely due to, well, how fast they actually go by, how fast-paced the action actually is in terms of you just want to kill them as quickly as possible. That may be something that as time goes on, the meta sort of moves away from. Kind of like what happened in Dota over the years. People started to focus more on farming. So that there is still the possibility that it'll move that direction in the future. But in the meantime, it's a lot of fun just being very, very aggressive all the time and focusing on getting kills as much as possible. It's a lot of fun. So let's see here. A couple other interesting things to note. Speaking of the meta especially, it's kind of interesting. People are still kind of trying to figure out how you're supposed to set up a team composition. It's generally been accepted that you want a decent mix of melee and ranged, and you want a tank as well, and you want a mix of physical damage and magical damage. But things like jungling. In this game, we've had our Bakasura jungling, but you may have noticed that he was kind of spending a lot of time in my lane regardless. That wasn't actually just him being super hyper aggressive with his ganking. That's how it usually works. When you have someone jungling, they kind of stick around one lane. And they go into the jungle, they kill a few camps, and then they pop out and get a quick kill. The interesting thing about the jungle in this game is every single camp has a buff of some sort. That could be like mana regen, it can be health regen, it can be something like increased speed or cooldown reduction. We're gonna have a bit of a fight here. I'm gonna go ahead and try and gonna get a kill on Ymir, but unfortunately I took a bunch of damage and died. Usually unfortunate. Yeah, it actually looks like that may have gone incredibly poorly for us. Nope, Bakasura is going to be able to eat something and run away. Looks like he might escape. It's actually he's got a Bastet chasing him down. Yeah, there she is over there. Oh, he's going to jump over a wall, and this is a terrible idea. Actually, yeah, there's Bastet, and he is going to die for sure. Farewell, Bakasura.
An ally has been slain.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the jungle, you could see there as he was getting himself killed on that jungle camp, every single pack has a buff. So what ends up happening is you can get these really, really scary ganks off by having a jungler who just sort of hangs around one lane, picks up all the nearby buffs, and then he comes into lane with an extra damage buff and like health regen and extra defense or something, and you can't really easily kill him. So the other team has to be careful and watching out for stuff like that. The other thing that people have been doing is instead of having a full-time jungler, they just have the lanes take the buffs that are nearby to them. And I kind of feel like that's the direction the game's going to end up heading overall. It just seems a little bit more efficient. But, again, it's something that people are still kind of figuring out, trying to get a sense of what is most optimal. Same thing sort of goes for support characters. It's because of like I was saying earlier, you get gold just for being near something when it dies. You don't have to get the killing blow. So that means that we're going to have a nice little fight here. I'm going to pick off that Bastet. I've been stunned. I'm going to try and get away. Oh, that could be unfortunate. Yep, I went down, but I did manage to get another kill in with my skill shot there real quick before I died. Very, very nice. Picking up 2 kills for my own 1 death. Very effective trade overall. Looks like Zeus unfortunately died as well. Still an even trade, so that's good. But yeah, like, since you get gold just for being near something when it dies, you don't have to get the killing blow. It kind of makes the traditional, I'm just going to sit back while you do all the farming sort of support role a bit less important, which means that support characters in this game, there are characters that are supporty, like Ymir standing there, for example, has lots of stuns. He has that wall that goes up, which is similar to like Anivia's wall from League of Legends. It's a very unfortunate time for me to be purchasing an item, so we can't see anything. Hell is a character who has, she's actually a lot like Karma from League of Legends. She has a light and a dark form. She can heal in her light form and deal damage in her dark form. There's lots of characters that have sort of support-focused abilities, but it's not at the expense of being a strong character themselves. You can carry a game as an Ymir. It's not as easy, but you can do it. So it's really, really interesting how these just little subtle changes they've made like that end up having a very significant impact on how the game actually plays overall. Very, very fun stuff. As to the free-to-play model, just real quick, want to go into this. It works very, very similar to League of Legends, which makes sense. I mean, why not copy the currently the most popular MOBA, at the very least, has the most people playing it. Might as well copy what works if you want your free-to-play game to come out. So you have Favor, which is your free-to-play currency. It's kind of like IP from League of Legends. And you also have Gems, which are your premium currency. So very, very similar model there. You use Gems to purchase things for real money. You use Favor to purchase things for free-to-play money. They actually have, I believe in the most recent patch, they actually made skins purchasable via Favor. It's a lot of Favor, but it's kind of interesting that they're even opening that up. There are skins available. Nobody in this match actually has any of them, but there are skins available, and yeah, it's interesting how they've actually opened them up to be accessible to free-to-play players. I do feel like the way the model is currently, it takes longer to unlock things just in general through Favor. So I feel like their idea there is probably to get people to purchase gems to unlock things faster, but we'll have to see how that goes as beta continues. It is something that they have been actively... Ooh, nice little team fight here. Going to pick off Zeus. Can't really get in there, so I'm going to try and do as much damage to Ymir as I can. And we are actually able to pick up the kill. Looks like Zeus was able to finish him off. Now we have Anhur coming in here. I am several levels above Anhur and have way more farm than him at this point, so I'm just going to be able to dominate him, no problem. And it looks like Anubis was doing something over there too, trying to get himself a kill. So I'm just going to keep hanging out here. We actually had a deicide, which is the ace of Smite. So we're actually doing a lot of damage right now. Oh, and they're actually going to surrender. Alright. So, that was that game. Real quick, just to mention the esports potential. I feel like it does have a lot of potential as an esport. It really depends on the spectator mode. There's lots of information that needs to be presented to the player in a meaningful fashion. They also have to work on their balance quite a bit as well. So that'll be interesting to see how it works out in practice. They've been releasing new heroes that are kind of overpowered at release lately, so hopefully they work that out. As to the giveaway, the beta keys, if you would like a Smite beta key, please go into the comments below on YouTube here, leave a comment that says, I would like a beta key, or something of that fashion. Make sure your comment just mentions in it that you would like a beta key. That is kind of important, so that I know that you actually want one and you're not just leaving a comment just to be nice. Which, I mean, obviously, if you want to just be nice, you can leave a comment as well. But let me know. I'm going to be giving away 5 of those beta keys. I will be giving those away on Friday. So let's plan on Friday. If you've left a comment saying that you would like a beta key for Smite, then that will be available. Otherwise, that's going to wrap this thing up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys later.